Ah, so many great reasons to live and work and play here in Newport Beach. We've got the palm trees, we've got the weather, we have the sunshine, we've got great restaurants, we have beautiful beaches. But there's another important reason why people want to be here, and that's because it's one of the safest cities in America. So today, on this extended version of the backstory, we're going to give you an inside look at the organization that keeps this community safe and secure, the Newport Beach Police Department. Lieutenant Jeff Brower, how are you, sir?
Welcome to the Newport Beach Police Department.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's great to be here with you.
It's great to have you here.
Now, how long have you been with the PD here?
I've been with the Newport Beach Police Department for 15 years now. I started off at the Los Angeles Police Department, and I came here in 2000.
Wow, that's great. That's terrific. This is first time being here at the facility. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is we just remodeled this recently, and you can see we have some different opportunities for people to see some of our heritage and some of our history. We have some old police motorcycles, some of the weapons, and you can see it dates back from the beginning of time for the Newport Beach Police Department. And we're really proud to let people come in and see what we're all about.
It's a beautiful display. It's really great. You even have the red hotline phone over there too, and some early police scanners.
Way back in the old days, before my time even. So. If you can believe that.
No, not at all. Okay, so let's get a tour of the facility here, and you could
show you around. It'd actually be better if I let the chief do that. We can go back and meet the chief real quick a second.
Absolutely. Let's go see Chief Johnson.
Come on in, Gary.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I mean, it's not very often that we get to take people into the inside of the police department. We usually see them on the outside or in the jail, and this is our great opportunity for us to show you around and let you see what this is all about. And what
great, the inner sanctum here.
The inner sanctum. Over here is the detective division. Later on, we'll take a walk through there, but that's where all of our detectives are. There's about 40 detectives that work back there. In this side of the building is our not conference room, but our auditorium, where we do any of promotional ceremonies. Anything big goes on in the auditorium there.
Now, how did you get into law enforcement?
Well, I started off a long time ago. I always wanted to be involved in law enforcement. I had an uncle that was a police officer, and it was always something that I wanted to do. And I finally got to the point where my wife said, you know what, go ahead and do it. At first, she wasn't quite so excited about it, but once we got to a certain point in our marriage, and I don't know if that's good or bad that she decided that it was good, but she pushed me out and said, go do it. And I've never looked back twice. It's been great, and it's been an awesome experience. Now my son is a police officer over for the city of Irvine, so it makes me proud that he's following along in the same footsteps.
That's great, keeping it in the family. That's terrific. Now, these are photos, I notice, of all the past chiefs of the police here.
Yep, these are starting with Chief Johnson over here, and then all of these are all the chiefs of police from the beginning of time with the Newport Beach Police Department. And you can see each one, it has their date on when they served the city, and all the way up to Chief Johnson. And eventually, when he leaves, there'll be somebody new that will get put up in that spot.
That's great. Well, let's go see this chief.
Let's see if he's in.
Okay.
Come in. Chief Gary Sherwin here to see you.
Hey, Chief, how's it going?
How are you? Good to see you.
Thanks for being here and
You bet.
being on our show.
Welcome.
Terrific. We're great to see the inner sanctum here of your office now and where all of this takes place.
This is it. This is the brains of the operation right here.
It's great. I noticed you got your own vehicle. That's great. That's a perk of being chief, right?
Yep. Saves a little on gas and saves the city some money. So I'm tired when I get to work, but it works.
So, Chief, tell us a little bit about some of the crime statistics here in Newport Beach, because this really is one of the safest cities in America, right?
Yes, it is, Gary. Actually, not only one of the safest cities in America, but in probably about 5 years ago, we started a crime reduction that dropped us to historic lows in the city. So in 2010, our crime dropped to the lowest it's been in the city's history. Every year since then, it's dropped even lower. Currently, year to date, we're about 13% lower than we were last year. So again, historic lows in our crime rate in this city.
That's remarkable. And what do you really attribute that to?
Well, there's actually a combination of things, and I don't think anybody really has the corner on what exactly causes all crime. But there's a number of things. One, community involvement. We've really reached out to the community. We've had a lot of different efforts that we've reached out to the community to get the community involved. You know, one of our biggest crimes happens to be property crime. So that's people breaking into your cars or more importantly, opening up your unlocked doors and taking property from your car, unlock houses. So by educating the public more not to leave things in plain sight, valuables in plain sight, locking your cars and your houses, that's helped tremendously. We've had a lot of changes here in the police department and how we operate. We have a new geographic policing, where a team policing concept. We have a team of officers assigned to a geographical area of the city, and that is their responsibility throughout the span of that schedule cycle. And we have what's called our crime stat meeting, where I hold the division commanders and the lieutenants responsible for the crime in their area. We split the city into 4 different geographical areas. Each has a lieutenant responsible for it. And every month they have to stand before me and tell me what their crime issues are and what they're doing to address it. And got to make sure their numbers are good.
That's great. How many personnel do you have here?
Well, when you count our volunteers, we have a great volunteer program. We have close to 250 personnel altogether.
Wow. Now, for a city of about 84,000, this is really extraordinary to have a department that is this layered in this, with this many, really good resources and deployment, isn't it?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate here in Newport Beach. We provide, I think, a level of service that most agencies don't provide. We go above and beyond. I like to say that we create raving fans. At least that's our goal, is to create raving fans with all our contacts. And, in most cities, if you were to ask an officer for directions, they might tell you, hey, take a left, take a right here. In our city, we'll say, hey, come follow me. I'll show you how to get there. And that's the difference, that level of service that we have here. And that takes time.
It's extraordinary. So you're going to give us a little tour of police headquarters here.
Yes.
We're looking forward to it.
All right.
Let's go do it.
Let's do it.
So, Chief, tell us a little about your personal history. You've now been here for a few years. You came from Long Beach.
Long Beach for 23 and a half years, been here for about 4.5 years. Yeah,
Wow.
Started on the 4th of July back in 2010.
Well, that's quite a day to get started, especially in this city where a lot of action happens on July 4th.
Yeah, right into the frying pan there.
But you've been making really good progress in kind of calming that mess down there on the peninsula,
I
right?
think we have, and I don't want to say I have. I think it's our folks who have done a great job. Matter of fact, this is our detective bureau. They've had a large part of that. If you want, I'll show you
Yeah,
a little bit
let's
of
come on
our
in.
detectives.
Wow, look, I didn't know you got Prince working here. That's
We
great.
do have Prince working here. Matter of fact, is he back there? No, he's not here today.
He's not here today. He must be on concert.
Prince
Okay.
is one of our detectives. This is our economic crimes division. They investigate all of our economic crimes. You get your identity stolen, someone's using your credit cards, those kinds of things. Actually, recently they just made some very, very big cases, multi-million-dollar cases, fraud cases. This is our crimes against persons. They handle all of our more of our violent crimes, everything from murders and robberies, those types of things. As we walk down here, we have our property crime section.
Now, Chief, these black and white photos are interesting. What's the story?
These are all of our cold case murders.
You're
There's
kidding, really?
8 cold cases. We call them cold cases. These are murders that we have not yet solved.
Wow.
Some of them we have some ideas and some hunches, but it's just a matter of putting the case together. So these are cold cases that our detectives still periodically come back, and sometimes we'll put fresh eyes on it, new detectives on it, and get a look at these cases, see if there's something they can find. With DNA and being able to go back and look for DNA, those kinds of things. We'll pull evidence back out that we had at one time and run it again in the DNA system, see if it comes up with anything. But yeah, we have 8 cases, which, by the way, is very low. But these are 8 cases, cold cases that we have not yet solved, but we have not yet given up either.
Wow. Some of them, I know, looks like some of them go back into the 70s, and
This one here is 83. This one here is 83 as well. This was 70, 72. This one here is a 11-year-old girl. Obviously, that one really. I actually have an 11-year-old girl, so whenever I walk by and see that picture, it really makes me hopeful that we can solve that case.
Wow. Good luck with that one. Okay, so now this is a different division of
This is all of basically our property crimes, our burglary detectives. They're all out working in the field right now, but you get your house broken into, the officer comes out, takes a report. That report comes to these detectives, and these detectives are the ones that will investigate that and hopefully find the culprit and get your property back.
Wow. And then you have another set of detectives over here.
Yes, This is our juvenile and sex crimes detectives, or special victims unit, is what we call it. Detective Monarch, as you see, working there. He's one of our top detectives. And
Hey, how you doing, Detective Monarch?
Thank you.
Hi. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
working on some exciting cases?
That's right, always.
You do?
Excited.
Now, how many cases do you have open at any one point?
You know, it varies. It's kind of tough to answer that. You can have anywhere from a few to a dozen or so cases.
Wow. And do you get resolution relatively quickly on a lot of these, or do they take sometimes months or years to work through?
Well, the SVU cases, a lot of it's forensics and DNA, so it takes a little bit more time than some of the other divisions where they may have immediate answers. And it's not television where it's you get.
That's what I was going to ask you. It's just like show. You figure it out in 60 minutes?
Yeah, search warrants and DNA take a lot more than about 11 minutes combined. So.
Well, thank you for spending a little time with us. Appreciate it. So now we've got this board here. Now it's fascinating because this, you're very high tech. You have some incredible things. This looks a little old school.
This is very old school. This is somewhat of an antique here. I'm assuming that was part of the original building, but the detectives still use it today. This is just kind of a notification system. It was originally designed to let the secretary know who's in the office and who's out of the office. Okay. So, for example, if you see a green light lit up, that means this particular detective is in the office. If you were to leave the office, like Detective Monarch is here now, you just spoke with him, he'd turn that off, turn that to that, and whatever time he's coming back, let's say 1,300 hours, hey, wait, he's coming back at 1,300 hours.
Wow.
Pretty
Still works, huh?
Still works.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so this is the records area in here.
Yes.
Okay. Now, wait a second, Chief. I see something kind of familiar in here. Can you come on, show this to me here.
Let me show you, Gary. This is a stack of citations. Our officers come in here and pick these up for, this happens to be parking citations. This one here happens to be, what is this one? Moving citations. Oh, this one happens to have your name on it, Gary.
Oh, there are probably several of them, unfortunately, with my name on it.
So these are our officers write, I want to say the numbers are around 17, no. I think it's around 17,000, scratch that, 95,000 citations a year.
Now, dispel a rumor, there's not a quota, right, for citations?
No, there's no. I mean, besides a toaster oven that you get every 5 citations, there's no such thing as a quota. In fact, a lot of people, there's a misunderstanding that they think we make money off citations. It actually costs us more money to send officers out to the right citations than we make money. There's a small part of that fee that comes back to the city. The majority of any fee goes to the state and goes to the court system. It's not a moneymaker at all. So people think that we're trying to make money off citations. It's not a money. It's a money loser, actually. We don't do it for money.
Okay, so what are we looking at over here?
This is our watch commander's office. The watch commander is actually, I joked about my office being the hub of the operation. This is actually truly the hub. In law enforcement, unlike a lot of businesses that are 9 to 5 or they close it at night, we don't. We're a 24/7 operation, so there's always has to be somebody in charge of the operation, and that's what our watch commander is. Your watch commander is in charge of everything that happens in the city. Wow. So at 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning, the person sitting at this desk is running the show.
Ooh, that's big responsibility.
Yeah. Well, we've got some good people here. So, matter of fact, Sergeant Rachel Johnson here is one of our watch commanders.
Sergeant Johnson, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Great to see you here. So, is everything under control here in the city?
Absolutely. With me at the helm, nothing to worry about.
That's great. Well, it seems like you're watching everyone up here. It's like a big spy cam up here.
Well, it is. The watch commander is responsible for not only the entire city, but station security. I mean, we can't do that if we don't have cameras everywhere. So we have cameras at our front desk. We have cameras in the jail, just so that I can keep an eye on everything that's going on. So if someone needs some assistance, we can get it to them in a timely fashion.
Now, have you ever been here in the middle of the night and you've seen something go wrong and you kind of panicked? What happens?
Well, since it's the middle of the night, I'm by myself, so I can panic in private, and then I get myself together and start making the appropriate phone calls.
So now, who would you call? If something was going on somewhere in the city, what would be the protocol?
Well, it would depend on the event, but I'd have my field supervisor handle the field, and I'd make notifications, and usually at some point I'm going to have to call the big boss here, the chief, and tell him what's going on.
You wake him up at 2 in the morning?
With pleasure.
It sounds like a fun job.
It is one of the best jobs at the police department to be the watch commander because you get to do a little bit of everything. You have a lot of responsibility, and you get to meet interesting people like you.
Now, I'm the least of your interesting people, I suspect, that come through this place. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been a sergeant for 2.5 years.
Wow. And how long have you been with the department?
I've been in the department for 9 years, and law enforcement for 13.
Another example of what the watch commander does here, and oftentimes things are time sensitive. So, for instance, tsunamis. Tsunamis are one of the things we talk about in the city, and we always have to be prepared for. Well, if there is, let's say, an earthquake somewhere offshore, and we think it's going to create a tsunami here, the watch commander is one of the first people in the city that gets notified, if not the first person. The teletype will come in to the watch commander. And those sirens that we have throughout the city, those tsunami sirens, the button for that siren is right there.
Really?
Yes. So
Wow.
it's the watch commander's responsibility to unlock that. Got a key to turn, just like, we can even show you. It's got a little 2 keys to turn, just like you're launching a nuclear weapon or something.
You're
And
kidding.
Push the button and the sirens go off for the city, and it starts the evacuation of the entire city.
You're kidding. Can you show us those buttons?
I can, and one of the things, I want to push the button one day. I just don't want a tsunami. I just want the occasion to push the button. That's what I look. So what we have here, we have instructions here, to, what we need to do, because it's not something we do very often. And we have our computer here, which is not on, that's great. And you have to turn a key, which is on the watch commander's key set, and then press a button in order to activate the tsunami. So,
Wow.
activate the tsunami alarm. The tsunami will already be activated.
Now, how often do you test this then?
Well, the tsunami sirens are tested monthly at a low tone. And we can put it in test mode here, where we can push buttons and make sure everything will work properly without, like, alarming the public or anything like that. And we try to do that at least once a month.
If I can mention, Gary, Sergeant Johnson mentioned that the monthly tests that we do, it's done at a low tone. Oftentimes I'll read in some of the papers or some of the blogs how people say they can't hear. We had a test. We usually notify people of a test, but they say we can't hear it. We didn't hear the alarm. Well, that's because we do it low on purpose. If it's a full blast, everyone's going to hear it. Believe me, everyone is going to hear it. There'll be no problems them hearing these sirens. So we purposely do it on a low tone because it'll disrupt a lot of people if we did it on full blast every time we test it.
So now, when you have a tsunami, how much warning do you have? Do you have like minutes, hours? Typically, how much advance notice would you have?
It varies. It could be that we don't have any advance notice. A lot of it, if it's earthquake generated, it depends on where that earthquake is and the fault lines and those kinds of things. We hope that we have enough time to get notifications out and start our evacuation procedures, our tsunami evacuation routes, get them in place and get everybody moving out of the low ground. But it just varies. It could be, there's a possibility that we could have a tsunami where there's just no notification time. But we hope that never happens.
Now, as part of the new Civic Center, there's an emergency preparedness facility there, too. Now, how does that work with what you're talking about here?
Right. That's what's called our Emergency Operations Center. And if there's a major event that's bigger than just a police event, but one that involves several departments, such as a tsunami, you'd have your police, your fire, your public works, everyone involved. That is our Operations Center for that. So we'd have what we call Department Operations Center here, where the police officers and the watch commander, they'd be operating out of here. And I would be down at the Emergency Operations Center with the other department heads and the city manager, and we'd be running the event from there.
Wow. So, and that's a fully integrated system. So you'd have fire and you'd have police and everything else under one roof then, right? That hadn't really existed to the extent that it does now with the new Civic Center. Is that correct?
Right. Before, it was actually housed here in our auditorium, but which was not an efficient facility for it. Now we actually have a facility built for emergency operations. It's a much better facility, and it leaves us here at the PD to have room for our own department operations center, because each department will usually have their own operations center in addition to the emergency operations center.
Great. Well, let's hope you don't ever have to push the button.
Let's hope not.
It's sort of like the president carrying the football, right?
Exactly.
Just, you have the secret code, right?
Exactly, and it's fun to think about, like pushing the button, but not a tsunami. I just want to push the button. That's all I want to do. My wishes are very, very simple in this world. Just to push
Well, I kind of hope your wish doesn't come true. Thank you very much. Now, where are we going next, Chief?
Let's go to the communications center.
Okay. Now, I've heard a lot of things. Now, dispatch is where a lot of activity takes place when busy weekends are going on and people are working long hours, right?
Our dispatch center handles up to almost 300,000 calls a year.
Really? That many?
Yes. So they do a tremendous amount of work, and there's only a few of them in there at a time. And you'll see when we walk in there, you'll get to see live what they do. And when I was in Long Beach, I had an opportunity to be what we call a call taker. Because we're short of dispatchers, so they had officers would come in who can type fast enough and answer the phones. They take the calls, put the information into the computer, and send over the dispatcher to dispatch out. And having worked that, I'm just glad I'm not a dispatcher. Because that is an extremely stressful job. I mean, there's times when you can be kind of slow, but let's say you have a shooting in Fashion Island like we had a couple years ago. You have 1,000 cell phones that are calling you right now, and you got to answer all those lines and get that information from everybody out there, and it can be very stressful.
Wow. Wow. So how much training goes into being a dispatcher?
First of all, the selection process itself is very rigorous. Between the backgrounds and the process we put them through the testing process and interviews, it's difficult just to get past that. Once you get past that, we put you through a training that lasts just about a year altogether. And it's pretty intense. We lose a lot of people in that training just because it's such a difficult job to do.
Well, here it is. Let's go in and take a look at it here. Oh, look at the safety of 80,000 people. Tell us about that.
Yeah, if I could point out the sign, when I got here, I saw that, and I thought how true that is. The safety of 80,000 people, it's actually more like 86,000 people now, begins in this room, and it really is. If you call 911, no matter what it's for, whether it's for police, fire, whatever, it goes to these people first, and they're the first ones to deal with you and get the help that you need.
And that's the population of the city of Newport Beach.
Yeah, it's actually 86,000 now,
Right.
about, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's go in and take a look.
Okay.
Okay. Now we're going to talk a little bit low because this is kind of an important room in the entire police department, right?
Yes, this is our communication center. This is where all of our 911 calls come into. As you can see here, we have 4 of our best dispatchers working today. And we'll get a chance to talk about what's on their screens. But so when a 911 call comes in, whether it's for police or fire, it comes here. If it's for fire, they'll get whatever information they need, and they will also transfer that to what's called MetroNet, who handles all the fire, or a lot of the fire in the county.
So 300,000 calls a year come through this center right here.
Yeah, nearly 300,000 calls come in here. Not all 911 calls, not all emergency calls, but we get a variety of calls. We get some strange calls, yeah, everything from what you can imagine that goes wrong, they get the calls for it.
Now, I understand this is kind of a special facility because you have noise padding here on the ceiling, and each of these units are pretty new, right?
Yeah, fairly new units. We have, like you said, the noise, that's for the noise. We have the floor that's actually, it's a raised floor because there's so much cabling running through the floors to support all the systems they have. And then these desks that they had, these ergonomic desks, they actually will raise and lower so they can stand at their desk if they want. They're here for 12 hours at a time.
A full 12-hour shift.
12-hour shift. So obviously they sit some of the shift, they stand for some of the shift. We even have some exercise equipment. They can put a little pedal underneath their chair to pedal just to keep some, the blood flowing. But
how do you stay alert for 12 hours? It's hard.
Like I said before, I tried it for a little while when I was a call answer in Long Beach, and I'm just glad I'm not a dispatcher. It can go from just being really mellow, not a whole lot happening. Like right now, you don't see a whole lot of activity. To all of a sudden, it can just explode, and they're getting 100 calls coming in for a major event. Anything like a traffic accident. You get a traffic accident, you have people driving by there calling, so you get 30 calls off a traffic accident. You have something major, like I mentioned before, in a mall, you have somebody shoots a gun off at Fashion Island, and you're going to have thousands of people calling in, and they got to field all those calls coming in.
Wow. So now tell me what's on the screens here.
Well, let me walk over and show you. Well, first let me tell you how this is set up. We have 4 dispatchers here. One dispatcher in the corner there, it's usually that position, who works the radio. They all have the ability to talk on the radio with the officers, but usually that one is a primary person who talks with the officers on the radios. These ones will take different calls. Someone will give, like let's say an officer asks needs a tow truck. She sends that message over to her, and she'll, or one of these positions, and they'll order up a tow truck, that kind of thing. So then on the screens, what you have, it looks like some of them are down right now. But so over here in the dispatch, who wants to talk about this stuff? Dave Valentine.
I can't talk about it.
Yeah, our system's down right now. The computer
The
system.
computer system's done right now.
The 911 system isn't down.
No,
Right.
we're up and running, but the computer system's done right now. So we have a cop link, so we can do background checks, warrant checks on
individuals that a police have stopped out in the field.
What would that be?
That's our radio system right here. Up here is green. This is our main frequency that we talk to our officers in the field.
Okay.
And if they have more to say or we want to give them more information on call, we can switch them to an altered frequency, green 2 or green 3. So we can talk to them there. We have air call, which is a communications line with our local helicopter. We use HB1. And then Orange South is a countywide transmission. And then we use a red channel as a countywide emergency broadcast. So if something happens in the county, they need to let everyone know about it. General broadcast will go over that channel. And we can let the officers know if it's a local agency that it's occurring in. So
they can communicate essentially with all the other agencies in the county if they need to get something out.
So now it looks like you have several cameras around the city here. You've got some beach cams. You have one in front of the building here in your lobby. I mean, is there any particular reason why those shots are up?
These are just our front lobby cameras. So if we can see anybody come up the stairs or there's an emergency of some type in the front lobby, we can keep an eye on it. The beach cameras are controlled by both in here and at lifeguards. So we've used those in the past for lost kids on the beach, suspicious subjects on the beach. We can zoom in pretty tight, look for people on the beach in description so we can help lifeguards or officers who are on the way locate them quicker.
When the beach is closed at night, they can see if there's people out there that shouldn't be out there, that kind of thing.
Now, does each screen serve a different purpose then?
Right now they do. We just have like I said, since our main computer system's down right now, we just have our cop link up so if you need to run anybody. We have our alarm system, so anyone has an alarm monitored by the police department, we can monitor that. And then just the regular police department website right now. But usually what happens here is we have our CAD up here, which is all of our incoming and outgoing calls for the police department.
Tell them about that button.
Oh, the traffic signal button?
Yeah.
Oh, this button right here. So if we have an officer leaving the station, especially a motor officer, and they don't trip the light and they have an emergency to go to, we can click this button right here. And what it does is it turns all the north and southbound traffic, turns those signals red automatically. So we can get our officers out to emergency calls quicker.
Wow.
Yeah, so that works.
There's a lot of us that would love to have a button like that in our own cars.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially, yeah, so we have that one. We also have the remote speaker. So if we do have an emergency going on in the city, such as a bank robbery, we click that button and everything we see on the radio is broadcast throughout the station. So any detectives in the station, any officers in the station hears what's going on, they can get out right away. So
That's great.
Yeah, a lot of tools, a lot of toys.
Now, you also have a big volunteer corps, too, that check on homes when people are on vacation, and if there's a problem, I suspect it would come through here, right?
Yes. Yes. We do. We have about almost 30 volunteers, police volunteers, and they do things such as vacation checks that you mentioned before, where someone's going on vacation, a planned vacation. They can either sign up online or call us, and we will have those volunteers go out and check their house on a regular basis, just to make sure everything's okay. If mail's collected on the doorstep or whatever, we'll take care of that for them, and walk around the back if they want, make sure that everything's okay, no broken sprinkler lines or anything like that, and just a service that we provide for free. But it's actually a really nice service, and that's just one of the many things our volunteers do for us.
That's great. And if there is a problem, then the call would come here if there was a burglary or something like that.
Absolutely.
That's
Let me
great.
show you one other thing. This is, we mentioned that the computer system is down right now, but the 911 system is not down, which is common. Every time we get upgrades or something, we need to fix the computers. But the concern is if the 911 system ever went down and you dial 911 and we can't hear you, can't come to us. We have fail-safes and backups for everything. This switch right here is one of our backups, where we flip that switch and all of our 911 calls now go to Huntington Beach. So Huntington Beach can answer those 911 calls for us, so nothing gets lost, and then they can get on the frequency and dispatch our officers to those 911 calls. Wow. So there's always, with any technology, there's always glitches and things that happen, and our 911 lines have gone down before, but within seconds, we're switched over to Huntington Beach in this case, who can back up for us and dispatch for us.
So I suspect you call them and say, hey, we're flipping over to you, and then you just flip the switch.
It's just a call. We let them know, and vice versa as well. We do the same for them. Yeah.
Wow. Now, helicopter services, how does that work? You work with Huntington Beach on that?
Yes, actually, we contract with Huntington Beach for their helicopter. We had in the past our own helicopter. We were part of a JPA with Costa Mesa with a helicopter. That's gone away a few years ago, but so now we just contract directly with Huntington Beach. They have a helicopter that they provide for us. Matter of fact, the way the contract, they actually have 3 helicopters there. So the way our contract works, in the event of a major emergency, such as a tsunami we talked about before, where they're going to want a helicopter there, they will put up a second helicopter just for our city. 4th of July is a perfect example. We have a helicopter here on 4th of July. We pay for regular patrols from the helicopter. Sometimes they answer some of our calls for service if it's a call that they can handle for us, or if it's, let's say, we got a report of a traffic accident some distance away and our officers are not close, they can get there first and kind of from the air tell us how serious it is, how quickly we need to be there. If they say, oh no, these guys are out of the cars and it's okay, no need to go too fast to get there. So they're great eyes for us, and we have a lot of areas. A lot of people know we have a lot of areas in Newport Beach that cars can't get to. A lot of brush, and you talk about lost children or maybe even fires, those kind of things. Helicopters can get back there and see things. And we have what we call FLIR, or forward-looking infrared systems on there, heat-seeking systems that we can find bodies, warm bodies, when they're lost or they're in the brush or something like that, back in those places where it's almost impossible to get police officers back to.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're great. They're a great service, a great tool for us to have.
That's great. So there's some great partnerships that you have with law enforcement here in South Orange County then.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
That's great. Okay. Well, this has been fascinating. These guys it's kind of quiet right now, but I suspect it can be a pretty unpleasant situation sometimes when these calls are coming in. Like you said, one call or one incident can generate literally dozens of calls, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And at any moment, you never know what's going to happen. And I think that's part of the stress, I think, is you never know when that's going to happen when you're in here. You could sit down and you pull up your sandwich out of your lunchbox and thinking you're going to be able to eat your sandwich, and all of a sudden, no. You don't get a chance to eat that sandwich for 3 hours later because it all of a sudden got busy. And but there's a little bit of stress, I think, knowing that you never know when that's going to happen. And they deal with it great. They do a great job. Can't be more proud of our folks here.
Great. Well, we'll let them go back at it, and we'll continue the tour outside.
All right.
Okay. This. Did you put this up there for us? CSI, Newport Beach.
Yeah. Now this is actually our crime scene investigators office. We have 6 crime scene investigators here, and actually our supervisor, Don Gage, is in there.
Hi there. Hi, Don. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
So you're Mr. CSI.
No, actually, I'm just the CSI supervisor.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I know you're prepared for this question, and you probably get it at all the parties, right? Is it just like the TV show?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, just like it.
Just like David Caruso and all those guys, right?
Yeah, we always wear sunglasses on our head and then pull them down. And you notice the blue lighting in here, it sets everything off.
Yeah. So what are the main differences here? Because I know a lot of people are familiar with CSI Miami and LA and New York and all these places. So what differentiates? What's the reality?
The reality is that our technology is still about 10 years behind where they say it is. So what they show in 42 minutes, allowing for commercials and all, we aren't anywhere near that.
So they make stuff up.
They make lots of stuff up, yes, sir. Absolutely.
So is the process still the same, similar to the show? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
We go out on scene. We'll take photographs, measurements, sketches, observations, and then incorporate that with detectives and patrol and try and come up with the true answers of what happened.
Okay. So it still involves forensics and things like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
Has it made your job sexier?
Oh boy. Sure. Sure.
You got to go to a party and people say, I'm with CSI, and they go, oh man, you got a cool job.
But I always say I work with forensics and, stuff like the coroners, and then everybody runs.
It involves dead people. Yes. Yeah. So but you've got to say CSI when you.
We do say CSI, yes, sir.
And overall, has it, kind of improved people's understanding of what you're doing?
They know more about what we do than we do.
Even if it's not correct, right?
That's true. That's very true.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Nice meeting you.
That's great. Okay, Chief, where else are we going?
Let's head over to the range.
Okay. Okay, Chief, we're heading over here to the firing range. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we're actually very fortunate. We're one of the few departments that has our own firing range here at the department. Actually, some agencies come here to train with us. But this is where most of our firearms training and qualifications takes place. As you'll see when we come in here, there's a variety of ways they can set the range up. Tonight we actually have our Citizens Academy coming in, so our range masters set that up for our Citizens Academy. We call it a shoot, don't shoot scenarios.
Now, tell us about the Citizen Academy. That's a really interesting program that you guys offer.
It's a terrific program. We offer it to the public if you either live or work in Newport Beach. It's a 12-week program. Right now they're meeting, I think, Wednesday nights from 6 to 9, and you basically get to see a behind-the-scenes look at the police department and do things that most people don't get to do. Everything from ride-alongs to actually shoot real weapons here, to shoot what's called simunitions or fake weapons at suspects, live suspects. It's an amazing program. You get to see our SWAT team in action. You get to see our K9 unit. You get to do actual investigations with our CSI team. You do a traffic stop on a drunk, someone who's playing a drunk, one of our volunteers who's playing like he's drunk, but you get to do a traffic stop on a drunk driver. It's amazing. I recommend everybody who has the opportunity to go through it. You can find it on our website, nbpd.org, if you're interested in applying, if anybody's interested in applying for that program.
And how many times a year do you offer that?
We offer it twice a year for adults, and then during the summer we do a teen academy. And the teens actually, it's obviously when they're off school, but they also get community service credits for going through that teen academy.
That's great. That's great. That's very exciting. I got to do that. Now, I notice here there's a shot here of John Wayne, or a picture of John Wayne. Is that because we're in an area with guns? Is that?
Well, a combination. You're area guns, and you're in his hometown. Obviously, you guys all know that the Duke used to live here in town, and I think most cops have an affection for the Duke anyway. So you'll see his picture at different places, I think, throughout the department.
Okay, so now in here is where you actually fire the guns.
Right. This is a firing range here, and you can't see it now. Now, normally this is set up. You have 4 different bays here, and you have the targets that go down the range, kind of like you've seen on TV, that kind of stuff. But what we've done here, our range master has set this up now, where he's got some movable walls set up down there, and we can walk down. It's kind of like a maze now. But you have to walk through a maze, and at the very end, and all the bullets go down range that way. At the very end, there's a big mound of basically rubber tire chunks. And that's where those bullets go into. And a lot of times we shoot, or all the time we shoot what's called frangible rounds here. They're bullets that actually kind of break up, almost like hard clay bullets that break up on impact. So we're not really shooting lead down here because of the lead issues and lead poisoning and stuff in the air. So, but that's it, and that's how our range is set up. And we every 2 months we have a different qualification, different training course that he puts us through with different. It's different every time. Sometimes you're using shotguns, sometimes you're using a rifle, sometimes you're using handgun, sometimes there's moving targets, sometimes there's spinning targets, sometimes you do it with no lights on and you have to use your flashlight. It's a variety of things. It's always something different every time we come to. Sometimes this next one that we're doing is actually a competition where we see who's the fastest shooter in the department, where we do it's kind of like little targets that you hit and it flips over to the other side, and you got to flip it back and forth, and who can go through it the fastest.
So dispel a myth here. Because you're chief, this doesn't mean you sit behind the desk. You actually have to continue your own police training then, right?
We do, yes. Everybody in my command staff, from me all the way down, we're required to come out here and train once every 2 months. Is when we're out here training with our gun. And more so if they want to, but at a minimum, once every 2 months, our range master has to see you, has to put you through a course, and has to make sure that you're competent with your weapon.
Wow. Okay. Now, you have a range master who's been here, I guess, for a while, huh?
We do. Charlie Beswick, one of our best. Charlie, come on down.
Hey, Charlie, come on over here.
Charlie Beswick's a little camera shy, but that's all right. Charlie's he's one of the best range masters around, but he can tell you some of the details as to what he does here and how things are set up and why he does the things he does.
Charlie, hi. Nice to meet you, sir. So how long have you been here?
I came down from LAPD in 1971.
Wow, since 71. Yeah. Well, then you've seen a lot of history here then.
I know where all the bodies are buried.
Literally. So tell us about the range. How do you manage this?
It's a lot of work. When we originally built this, actually some of the police officers helped finish the range back in 73, 74, something like that. The building was built, and then this was done last. So we actually put in the floor and stuff like that. It used to have these overhead rails, if you could shine up there. Mm-hmm. The officers used to stand in these 4 aisles here and shoot, and it was very static shooting. I retired as a police officer in 92, came back in 97 to take over the range master's job, and basically took all that down. So I work one-on-one with all the officers down here.
Wow. Now, do you do training then for them?
Yes, I put on all the firearms training. I do handguns, shotguns, AR-15s.
Wow. And you know, how do you get your knowledge? How do you stay abreast of all of this?
I was blessed to be able to go to a lot of schools. And so when I took over in 97, I was going to 3 handgun schools every year.
Wow. So do weapons technology change a lot?
Some of the techniques have, but the basic shooting principles are still the same.
So if you're shooting a gun, what are the key principles that you normally advise people to be concerned about?
Well, in the type of range training we do here, it's not just shooting at targets. We try to put together training that the officers might, or scenarios that officers might encounter out in the field. So once a year, I'll have the officers tell like they've been knocked down on the ground, they have to shoot from the ground and have to be consistent in hitting the targets, which is trigger control, sight alignment, and follow through.
Now, it's challenging because there are times when they have to shoot and when they don't they shouldn't shoot. And that's what you're going to be working about with the Citizens Academy Day, because sometimes that's a split-second decision, right?
Yes, it's to the officers' individual decision what they have to make, and it's what they see. And so we try to present them with that. What the Citizens Academy is going to do tonight, they're going to pretend like they're the officer, and they're going to have a simulations gun, which is a blue gun, shoots a little plastic bullet. There'll be a SWAT officer downrange behind some blue barrels. He'll come out and present them with either a shoot or don't shoot scenario.
Wow. And do most people get it right?
Oh, yeah.
They do, really? That's pretty good.
I used to be one of the suspects until I got tired of getting shot at. And we had one lady in the class that never shot a gun before. She came around the corner there. We presented her with the shoot, don't shoot scenario. And actually it was Randy Query, our sergeant in training. He was working with me that night. And I brought the lady around, and he presented her with there, and her first shot was right between the eyes.
Wow.
She was great.
And never had shot before, huh?
No.
Wow.
She just knew what to do.
That's great. Well, Charlie, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Okay.
Okay, Chief, where are we going to next?
Well, why don't I take you to our briefing room?
Okay, let's do it.
So this way.
So, Chief, what are you most proud of this department? Is there any single thing that you think kind of distinguishes department among others than you've worked in?
The people that work here. You know, that's our greatest asset and our best resource. And I tell you, the quality of people that we have working here, serving the community of Newport Beach, is just second to none. Everything from their education level to the level of service they provide, their interaction with the community. I've never seen, and I've been all over this United States training different police departments. I've never seen anything as good as I see here.
Wow, that's great. So this is the squad room where many of them meet then,
This is
right?
a squad room where we have our briefings for every shift. Let me show you what this looks like in here. So essentially, just like you see on TV, we'll have our sergeants that'll sit up here. Sergeant lieutenants will sit up at the front desk here. Our officers will fill in the seats here. We have a screen that comes down here. We show all the stuff that happened from the previous shift. You know, all the arrests that were made, the booking photos, any leads that are out there. We have our crime stats that we go over. You see on the wall behind you, various maps with different crime stats that the sergeants will go over with the officers. And basically get all their assignments, where they're going to work, get their cars, and then they head out the back door here to get their cars and to go to work.
So is it like Hill Street Blues where they say, be careful out there?
Absolutely. It's exactly what it is. They do say that. Yes.
They do, huh?
Yes. So as we walk out here, you'll see our cars.
Wow. So, okay, we're leaving the briefing room now, and we're outside here, a lot of police vehicles.
Yeah, this is where all our vehicles park. When the officers get done with the briefing, they just walk right out this door, straight to the vehicles, load up all their equipment. Gas up right here. We have our gas pumps here. This is where we service all our vehicles. The service doors are down now, but that's where our mechanics work. So everything is parked out here. And then we have some of our specialty vehicles that are lined up along the fence line here.
Okay, I know what that is. They made a TV show about that one. That's the SWAT vehicle, isn't it?
That's it, our Special Weapons and Tactics team. That's their van. And want me to show you inside?
Absolutely. Now, tell me about the SWAT team. How do you use them?
Well, I like to say the SWAT team is it's obviously a special team, but the analogy I use is when people are in trouble, they call the police. When the police are in trouble, they call the SWAT team. So the SWAT team gets called out for very high-risk situations, hostage negotiations, barricaded suspects, those types of things. People with weapons that are shooting weapons, active shooters, those kinds of things.
Well, do you really use that a lot here?
Unfortunately, we don't have to use it a whole lot, but we've used it a few times. But I'll let you talk with one of our SWAT officers. Jarima, are you in there? This is Detective Jarima, if you want to go in.
All right.
He's one of our SWAT officers.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Hey, this is great. So I'm in here in the vehicle, and we've got what looks like lockers. Everyone's got a locker here.
Everybody gets their own locker. It's where we keep our vests, our helmets, our boots, any supplies or tools that we take with us. That way everybody has everything on their own and has everything where they know they can get it quickly in case we need it. So we have our vest in here if you want to give it a try.
Yeah, sure, why not? You live once. Now, well,
Goes on right over the top. And we'll get
this
strapped in here.
thing is heavy.
Yes.
And you guys run in these things.
Sometimes we have to run in them.
Wow. So what would happen if there was a call then? You'd have officers, and then they would meet this vehicle, come in here, and then they would...
Essentially, if we ever get a call out, what they do is we'll all meet either at the station or at a pre-designated point. We'll change out here. We keep a change of clothes in here as well as all the stuff that we need just in case you're coming from a family's house or somewhere where you're not able to get your own equipment at home. You change into your vest, you get ready, you check in with the TOC, which is a Tactical Operations Center, which is what this van and our other van become. And then they essentially give you your assignment from there.
Wow. Okay, now describe what's here on this vest.
Essentially right here this is a ballistic vest. We have ballistic plates that are actually inside there as well, which will stop a lot of rifle rounds. We have our magazine holders, which don't have magazines in them right now. On the back side, you'll have another plate on the back. This is actually the breaching pack. So what we'll do is we'll carry breaching tools, which is like a pick and a hammer and a ram in case we have to get into doors or pull open doors. So the guy who has to carry this has to carry a lot of extra equipment with him as well. We also have the helmet, if you want to give the helmet a try.
Oh, okay. I know the guys behind the camera, they've been wanting to get me in one of these things. My head's too big. People have said that about me for a long time. My head's too big. Okay, and what else do you have in here?
Essentially in here we have all of our extra equipment. You can attach these pouches onto any part of your vest that you have extra space. And here we carry flashlights, a monocular. We carry a couple glow sticks just in case you have to, it's dark and you light the glow stick in a room. That way people know where a rally point could be or if there's any potential hazards inside the room. Extra set of handcuffs.
Okay.
We carry our Swiss seat, which is just essentially a fancy name for a rope. It's used to open doors, close doors. You can actually make a harness out of it in case you need to rappel from a building. They teach us how to do that as well.
Wow.
Boots. And we also have our firearm and our belt.
Wow. Now, how much does this thing weigh? This is really heavy.
Yeah, with the plates in there, you're getting an extra about 25 pounds. In fact, when you get full magazines, plates, and all the extra equipment on there, if you put the breaching pack, you're getting probably about an extra 40 pounds on there.
Wow.
So it gets...
Now, how long do you have to train to be a SWAT officer?
They send you, after you actually pass the test and become a SWAT officer, they send you the 2-week SWAT school, which teaches you kind of the basics, but we always continue to train. Right. So twice a month, we'll either go out to the shooting range and do firearms training, or we'll do tactics training, which is where we'll go, we'll use empty abandoned buildings. We do waterborne now as well, where guys will get in the water, full gear that's waterproof, and they'll test how to get onto beaches and on docks from there as well. So we keep constantly training, adapting, because there's never one true perfect way to solve a problem. So we try to train in all the ways to solve the problem. That way we can get the resolution without anybody getting hurt, which is our main goal.
Right. Okay, now I'm missing one thing, and that's a weapon. You got those around here too, right?
I'll show you where those are at.
Okay.
They're right back here.
Okay, right back here. Man, I don't know how you navigate with this stuff. It's amazing. Okay.
All right.
So you have it locked up.
Yes, we always keep it locked, and then that way, just in case for some awful reason somebody gets in the van they're not supposed to, they can't get at the weapons.
Wow.
So here we have two different types. We have our AR-15 platforms, which are essentially, they shoot a .223 round, and we have our MP5s, which are a 9mm submachine gun. So we have a rifle and a submachine gun. All of them can be set single fire or auto, which essentially is it shoots enough bullets until you stop pulling the trigger. Never really use that setting, and there's very certain settings we set it. Most of the time it's just single fire, but it's there in case we need it. Everything's equipped with a flashlight, sights, and as well as a collapsible stock, and some guys put on front stocks as well to kind of help them with the steadying of the rifle.
Wow. Now I remember with LAPD in I think it was 94 with the Northridge shootout.
Yeah.
That changed a lot of things for SWAT teams, didn't it?
That definitely did. That actually, it kind of opened a lot of people's eyes on the limitations of the pistols and the firearms that they were using at the time. And that's why we do use the rifles now, because they can penetrate some of the armor, and it gives us better accuracy over a longer range, so you don't have to get inside those extended gun battles at any point in time, which causes a lot of damage to the people who are involved as well as civilians around the area.
Wow. Now, how many instances have you kind of been involved with involving the SWAT team here?
3 so far, and I've only been on for about a year. So a little bit over a year, and so I've been on 3. It usually works out. There's not too many, but it's nice because we do get them, and essentially we'll help out other things, like we helped out in Anaheim to help out with the FBI. They'll ask us for help. Other SWAT teams will ask us for help, and we'll go out and help them as well. So everybody, when you get on the SWAT team, you learn to just help out every other city. If a city needs help, we'll go out there and help them, just as we would expect them to come help us if we needed help as well.
Wow. Well, this has been great, Detective. Thank you very much for spending a little time here. This is fascinating, and you've got a fun job.
I do.
A scary job, though, I have to tell you. Don't you get scared?
You know, it's a healthy fear. You get the healthy fear where you expect, you're putting yourself in danger, but you trust. I mean, I'm with a bunch of other people, and I know that they've trained as hard as they can, and no matter what I do, they've got my back, and they know that I have their back, so it's a good feeling.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you very much. I think the chief's going to probably take me to jail now. So,
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks. So now we're kind of at one of the more famous parts of police headquarters here. That's everyone's curious about the jail.
Yep, this is our city jail. This is the entry from this side of it. When we bring prisoners in, I'll show you where we bring them in. But before we go in, I have to put my gun away because we can't take any firearms in the jail facility.
So that's protocol. So every officer coming in has to put their gun away so that there's not an incident in there, right?
Correct. There's no firearms allowed inside the jail facility.
Wow. Now, do you carry that with you all the time?
Yes.
Even when on your off duty?
Usually.
Really?
Yes. Wow. A lot of people don't like me.
I don't know about that. So,
gotta hit this button here.
oh, we hit the button. Okay.
So what we do, we hit the button here. There's 2 doors that we have to go through, and they control those doors. So you'll hear a buzz in a minute, and the doors will pop open. So don't be startled because it's kind of a loud noise.
Okay. So now a prisoner wouldn't normally come through here, though, right? They would come in the back.
Right. And I'll show you how that happens right through here.
Okay.
So as we walk through here, you'll see our jail's divided up into several areas. We got several cells down this way. Further down to my right is our juvenile holding facility, and over here is kind of the operations center where all of our jailers. This is our jail supervisor, Bob Yamada, who's on the phone right now. But this is where the staff works, and you'll see over here is where we bring people in. There's a sally port out there, so officers will drive their cars up in that sally port. We'll show you how that is. They come in through those doors. Then our jailers will meet them there, do the appropriate pat down, take their property from them, and so forth. And then they start the booking process. I'll show you the fingerprint and the room where they take the mug shots. There's interview rooms, and I'll show all the different jail facilities that we have.
Okay, so when they come in, then the car actually comes in a full room, and the door gets shut behind them so that when they emerge, they can't do a runner, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right. And then that's when they proceed and they come in here and start the booking process.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go look at the booking process.
Okay. Jailers here, custody officers.
Hello.
So what she did, she just opened up the gate for you from the inside there, so you can see the officers will come in with their prisoner here, drive in here. The gate will shut behind them. They will also take their firearms out and place them in the lockers there. They get buzzed in here once there's a camera out here so they can see. Actually, they can see them before they even drive in. So the custody officers see them. They'll buzz the door here. The custody officer will come out and meet them, bring the prisoner in with them to this first room here, and this is where the process starts.
Okay.
In this room, there's a search done with the custody officer and the arresting officer. The person will be completely searched. any property taken off them, jewelry taken out, that kind of stuff, all the property put in a bag and inventoried and so forth. Once that's done, then we move over here into our fingerprint and photograph area. So that's right in here. Okay. So this is our fingerprint area here, and it's a very, very high-tech fingerprint system that they have and hooked up to the state. And then this is where essentially the mugshots take place.
Oh, the
Right
famed
here.
mugshots here, huh?
You go here, you stand there, you put your up like this, and they put whatever number they need to put and set that up in front of you, just like that, and take your
Really?
mugshot.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So
That's pretty cool. And then the fingerprinting, there's no the ink anymore, right? It's
no, we do have the
high-tech
capability to do ink still, but this is much more high-tech stuff. You don't use ink anymore, and it's all computerized. It reads the print and it puts it right into the system, and also checks for any kind of hits if you're wanted for anything.
Okay, so after you've gone through this process, where would you go?
Then we'd find your cell over here.
Now, you got a variety of cells here, and you keep the men and the women separated, I understand. Now, this one is kind of an interesting cell.
This is our drunk take. Actually, I see our jail supervisor, Bob Yamada, is here now. And maybe Bob,
Hey,
you wanna
Bob.
explain. This is Gary Sherwin. You can explain
Come on in.
about the jail here.
So I understand if you've had a few too many on the peninsula, this is where you go, huh?
This is our sobering cell. We'll keep the people in here till they sober up for the booking
come on
process.
Come and take a look at it. You've probably seen this many
It's-
times. But now, you recently redid this, I guess, right?
Yes, it's all padded where it's about 4 foot up on the walls. That's for the protection of the individuals, because when they're intoxicated, they would come sit down on the curb and bang their heads against concrete. So it's more protection for them.
So the floor is padded, I feel, and the wall is all padded.
Correct.
And those are their facilities then.
Yes.
And, how many, it's a pretty big room, so I suspect you have quite a few people in here on certain holidays.
We could put 11 people in here on average when we're pretty busy, besides what's in a regular housing area.
Wow, so they'll come in here and you'll just hold them, dry them out until they're released, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And just for clarification, I don't know if Bob mentioned, but we separate males from females. So this would just be the males here. Females are on the other side. And they also have a camera system up here. So they're constantly being monitored not only by our staff, jail custody staff down here, but as you saw upstairs, the watch commander also can monitor them as well.
So we live in a pretty litigious environment. So the minute a prisoner would arrive in that room in the vehicle, then they're really on tape every second they're inside, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So if this is just for the intoxicated people. Now you have the jails facilities as well. Let's go take a look at those.
Bob?
Down here we have our housing units for our males. We have 21 male beds. There's 7 in each cell. They have the facilities to use the restroom. We have shower capability for the individuals around the corner. They have access to phones to call relatives or make arrangements for bail. At this table, they eat their foods, their meals.
So you let them out to actually have their meals then?
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's very seldom we'll lock somebody all the way down, except for when we bring in the food and stuff. We have special safety guards that we put up with the Lexan glass that you see on our windows and the wire mesh up on the bars. So it's,
And that's pretty new. That's to prevent suicides, right?
correct. And
And-
plus, we have cameras installed in here, so we're able to see what's going on in all the facility at all times.
So if you're a prisoner, what would you be assigned when you're here? You'd go in here, would you have sheets, or what would you have?
Get a blanket and a mattress cover, and just tell them to choose a bunk down on the bottom. Normally is where we start and work their way. We'll separate felonies from misdemeanors. People that are arrested for alcohol-related charges will be housed separate from all those. And then, depending on the charge, we'll either release them from our facility or we'll transport them to Orange County Jail.
Okay. And how often or how long does somebody normally stay here before you take them to the county or release them?
All depends on their health condition and what the situation is. If they're for intoxicated charge, they'll be here for at least 6 hours or longer. Depending on if it's felony charge, depending on what type of charge, they'll be here at least 2 hours or longer. We can actually, because of being a type 1 facility, we can house somebody here up to 96 hours. Unless we get a court order, then we could keep people here longer on a court order. So
it's really a holding facility more than anything else, right?
Yes, it's a type 1 facility. It's not a temporary holding facilities because they can only keep people less than us, up to 12 hours or something like that period, where we could go up to 96. So it all depends on the charge and situations.
Now, these are pretty nice jails by jail standards, I guess. I understand if you go to the county or you go to state, it gets a little rough, right?
Yes, they are quite different from our type of facility because they get parolees, probationaries, besides regular street bookings, where we deal with straight street bookings, but we have the parolees and stuff. But to our advantage, depending on the type of person they are, we could send the individual up to Orange County Jail right away. It all depends on what the situation is.
Great. Well, this is very interesting. I have to say, I've never been here, fortunately. Love to take I'm going to take a little peek here inside the jail.
It's not a whole lot to it. Pretty basic, and it's meant to be that way. All right, Gary, would you like to see what it feels like to actually be in the cell?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'm up for it. It's part of the experience, part of covering the story. Hey, I want to thank Chief Johnson and the wonderful folks here at the Newport Beach Police Department for this great tour today, and really getting a sense of what makes this city so safe. I mean, it's a phenomenal police force, and the people here really are truly great, as Chief Johnson said. So that's it. This is Gary Sherwin with the backstory, and we're out. So you can open the door now and end the show, or not. Hey, Chief Johnson, anybody? Lieutenant Brower? Charlie? Anyone?